I am your host, Morgan Kimbarow. Our guest today is Vito Glazers. He is a media producer, author, personality, and stand-up comedian. Vito, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me, Morgan. I'm grateful to be here, grateful to be known as a personality. And it's awesome to be in San Diego with you. Thanks so much for having me on.
Outstanding. Yeah, I'm glad we could make this happen. You know, you're in San Diego for a comedy show tonight.
That's right. I'll be doing the Mic Drop Comedy Club tonight. My first time performing stand-up comedy outside of LA. So I'm really excited to get warmed up over here. So maybe we'll laugh, we'll cry, we'll talk about the future of the nation. We'll hopefully cover a lot of things here.
Come on, man. And this is a new notch under your belt. I mean, you're a recent stand-up comedian.
I just got into stand-up comedy specifically in January. I've been doing comedy on social media for a few years. My ex-wife and I, we were one of the top comedy couples on TikTok and Instagram. We had done probably close to 200 million views in the 1 to 2 years that we were married, and I just always wanted to take it off the platform and say, hey, it's one thing to be like doing videos and editing them and not doing it in front of an audience, but I think to call yourself a comedian, you have to be able to get on that stage and do your 5, 10, 15 minutes and really connect with that audience and laugh. So that was really important for me to do in my journey as an entertainer and as a media personality.
That's amazing. To put yourself in the arena, right?
Absolutely.
As a stand-up comedian,
Yep.
It's tough, right? I mean,
It's the hardest. Yeah.
We see people on there, putting themselves out there. I mean, the Tom Brady roast a couple days ago, right? All these guys coming on, Kevin Hart hosting. That was amazing. But I'm excited for the show tonight.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's going to be great to have you in the audience. I'm excited to hear your feedback. Don't take it too hard on me because my comedy, it has been hitting in LA. My set is really directed a lot to LA people.
Yeah.
I had the one struggle I had in the beginning. I had a couple of shows that were a little bumpy because I was performing at these hotels, right? So I perform a lot at the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood. And one of the things that I didn't realize is that those people aren't from LA because it's a hotel. They're people, they're coming in from other parts of the country. So they're not getting the LA joke. So it's all about just knowing your audience, connecting with them, building, resonating. And to me, stand-up comedy is just another layer of communication, another way to connect with your audience. And it's nothing new to me to be connecting with audiences. I've been a public figure for 15 years online, and I've done all forms of media. And to me, really, people ask me, they're like, why did you do stand-up comedy specifically, right? And I realized that in order to have impact at the level that I want to have it, or that I need to have it in order for us to get, as conservatives, to get our message out in Hollywood and around the world, is I was like, okay, the people that really are getting the big platforms now, athletes, politicians, actors, and basically stand-up comedians, right? Because it's like, and I'm too old to play sports. I'm too old to be learning a new musical instrument and getting big enough to actually have some impact from that. I do the acting work in LA, but it's so hard to control the output of that, right? Like no matter how much acting is one of those things where it's like, no matter how much work you put in, you're not guaranteed what you'll get out of it. So it's hard to really like measure your impact from there. But then I saw stand-up comedy and I said, what's the perfect thing for kind of a Jewy, almost 40-year-old, out-of-shape guy who's shameless?
Yeah.
Where do I fit in there? I was like, actually, stand-up comedy kind of actually seems like it's a perfect way to fit that criteria. And I jumped in, and I don't know if it was a good thing or the bad thing, but the first joke I told on stage at the Ice House in Pasadena, California, the first joke hit, and they laughed, and I've been addicted ever since.
Dude, come on. That's so amazing. And I think the thing that you hit on is putting yourself in those arenas of the culture war, right? And so people have this idea of what a conservative is, right? And so, again, I've been involved in politics, less so now. I was more officially, I was involved with the Republican Party.
Yep.
But the thing that I pushed was it's a culture war, right? And I'm a policy guy. I've done, think tank stuff at Stanford, right? But that's not what the people want to hear. They don't want to read the 20-page white papers. I'm a guy that nerds out on all that. But I bring it back to the 1960s, right? The countercultural revolution, right? Make love, not war, right? Protesting against the Vietnam War, and it was it was a monolithically a liberal, socialist, communist thing, right? and that was pushing back against the norms of society. Well, now it's the reverse, right? The left wing has taken over these mainstream institutions, and now the edgy, rebellious thing is to be a conservative, right?
Yes.
And so I leaned into that, and that's what I tried to impress upon the politicians, the people that I talk to, is like, hey, this is a culture war.
Yes.
This is a culture war, and we have to take ground in these arenas, right? Yeah, we don't like the toxic aspects of Hollywood, the degeneracy, the debauchery, right, of all these things, but we got to push back. We got to put ourselves in the arena, and that's what you're doing.
Yep. And you know what? The only reason the left was able to do it is because conservatives are not good at doing content.
No.
For the most part, right? So trust me, these actors and these influencers that all take these bribes to, basically sell out America, it's not because they actually believe in the things that they're perpetuating. It's just that the liberals figured out how to pay them off first.
Yeah.
And conservatives just can't wrap their head around this idea, like, if we just paid these same actors, we could have that same impact. And that's been a big roadblock that I've been having in people that are in the conservative movement, trying to convince them, look, guys, all we need to do is do the same things that they're doing. We need to buy the musicians, buy the TV shows, produce our own content. I actually give a really specific example. I've been in Hollywood for over 10 years, and the difference between how liberals approached basically implementing their value system into American culture versus how conservatives are trying to fight back with it are two totally different thought strategies. So liberals didn't come out and say, oh, everybody should be a tranny, this gender stuff, the whatever their talking points are, right? What they did is they invested in content that we just like.
Yes.
They buy Transformers franchise. They buy the Boss Baby movies. And they make us fall in love with franchises that we love. And then it's like Boss Baby 1, great movie. Boss Baby 2, great movie. Oh, we love it. Boss Baby 3, the baby's a tranny.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how they do it. Conservatives, they do this thing where it's like all the content is created for the echo chamber. Maybe it's because conservatives are so linear and logical. So, Matt Walsh's What is a Woman movie, great movie, but not one person who doesn't already believe every single thing in that movie ever watched it, right?
Yes.
So all it's doing is affirming and radicalizing its own base of people, but it's not actually bringing anybody over from the middle, or definitely not bringing anybody over from the left, right?
100%. And that's the way you got to look at politics, right? Addition. How do we get more people on your side, right? Whether that's votes or causes. And that's lost on a lot of people, right? They don't think strategically, right? Of like in sports, right? It's to dominate the other team, right? In politics, right? Certainly there's a dominating aspect to it in certain points, but it's about winning hearts and minds, getting people on your side, and so you have to permeate and get those messages out. Yes. So I want to talk to you, Vito, about yourself, right? Of who you are, right? What you do. You have a fascinating background of many talents. Just talk about yourself for a little bit. You do, man. You're a happening guy. And for those that don't know you, right, they need to know you.
I guess for those of you who don't know me, my name is Vito Glazers. I'm the CEO of Glazers Media in West Hollywood, California. I've been in the liberal trenches for over 10 years. And I'm a pretty openly Republican guy. And, I'm not even that Republican. And here's the thing about politics, right? It's like, here's what I know about America and even Hollywood, okay? You've got like 5% of people that are extreme liberals.
Yes.
You've got 5% of people that are extreme conservatives that are just as, if not more annoying than the 5% of extreme liberals. And then you've got 90% of people in the middle who just don't care. All they care about is their retirement account, their house payment, their kids, their family, their hobbies. These people are not waking up every day thinking about most of these people probably don't even know who the vice president of the country is, right? So that's kind of always who I've been. I've just been kind of a down the middle guy. Grew up in Chicago. I got involved in politics out there because I was kind of turned off by, Chicago's a super blue city, super blue state. I watched the union just destroy my dad. My dad was a union truck driver. They literally crippled him and drove him into madness, and never stood up for him. And I said, this doesn't seem right to me, but I was a liberal all through college, pretty much. I went to art school. I always said, Bush is the bad guy. And then I realized, I said, this is a unit party. These guys are all the bad guys,
Yes.
right? They're on there stealing from us. But anyways, back to who I am. Again, I'm the CEO of Glazers Media. We are one of the top reputation management public relations firms in Hollywood. We basically do a lot of work to help people build their reputation. We help save reputations. And we help manage crises and, just basically bring awareness to things that are really important through all forms of media. We're not a traditional PR company in the way that we do things. Basically, what our emphasis on is what I call follow the money for our clients. So we figure out how our client's going to make money by being famous. All right. I guess I should take it back a notch. The motto of our company is Glazers Media. We make famous people rich, and we make rich people famous, right? So that's the foundation of what we do. How do we make famous people rich? Well, if you have a big audience, we can bring you brand partnerships. We can help you build your own custom e-commerce offers or anything that is going to create residual cash flow that will last long after your fame is gone, right? That's how we make famous people rich. Now, if you're rich and you want to be famous, that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek way of saying like, hey, if you've got money, we can get attention for you, right? So we make rich people famous in the capacity that, we work with a lot of CEOs. We work with people that want to get into entertainment, but they, maybe there's people gatekeeping them out of it. So what we do there is we figure out, okay, how are you going to make money from getting more attention? Because attention for attention's sake is pointless.
Yes.
So if you're getting attention, we got to be monetizing that attention, right? So number one, how can people pay you? That's the first thing we talk about when we work with clients. Two, then we start working on the story. Okay, what is the story that's going to connect you to your audience? Because all these products are the same. Why is one bottle of water different than another bottle of water, right? We're just buying it because people are affected by branding and marketing. That's just how it goes. So we create these stories that resonate with people. And then what we do is we take that story and we start amplifying. We amplify it through traditional press, like digital articles, newspapers, magazines. We get you on television news. We start getting you on the podcasts. We train our clients to become public speakers and experts. We write them best-selling books. We help them develop TV pilots and reality shows and documentary films. Our company has been involved with 2 projects that recently got Emmy nominations. I just received a honorary producer credit at the Beverly Hills Film Festival for the film Beyond the Grave, which is actually a really cool movie. If you guys want to check that out. But we help people tell their story at the highest level because then each time their story is being told, that attention is being driven back to the monetization strategy. And so basically, if every time you tell your story, it costs you $1 to promote that story, but you're making $2 back, well, then your goal is to spend as many $1 as you can because you're continuing to increase your profit and your margin and your impact. And that's how we roll. That's what we do.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's like something that a lot of people don't realize, right, of what the PR that goes behind the celebrities that you see, right? Mm-hmm. The stories, like the damage control, right? Mm-hmm. You see celebrities or athletes that get in these scandals and, how they respond, how they react, and that's where you come in. And I think it's just so fascinating, right? The whole aspect of media that a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, we call it hacking the media matrix.
Yes.
I want people to walk away hearing this interview knowing that every single thing that they are consuming in media is purposely designed and released, at least in all major media. Again, we use that term, follow the money. Follow the money behind who is benefiting from that information being released. So every news story, every TV show, every commercial, everything is being released with a purpose, and there's somebody behind it paying for it because media is expensive, and you're not just going out there saying stuff for no reason. People are investing in this media because they want to make either they want to make decision makers make buying decisions, or they want to make cultural shifts that are going to impact and benefit them long term. This is like the big power brokers of the world. They're investing tons of money for our attention. So basically, the only thing more valuable than money today is attention.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying if you have that audience, we are experts in turning that audience into money. And if you don't have the audience, we can help you turn your money into an audience. And we're basically a currency exchange.
Amazing. Wow. So what are some of the brands you work with?
So we are under pretty strict NDAs with our brands because brands don't want people out there knowing, okay, well, we paid for this activation, right? But we've worked with a lot of amazing influencers, a lot of great celebrities. I just recently had Joe Exotic from Netflix, documentary Tiger King. I just interviewed him from prison. This some of the advocacy work that we do. I do stand up for people that are improperly incarcerated. I just helped Ron Jeremy get 34 counts of assault, false accusations dropped against him. He lost his life savings. He's actually got full dementia. They destroyed his life, but at least the record will show that he was innocent. He was falsely accused. We've worked with all kinds of big people. I love to support Turning Point USA. I think they're one of the most relevant fighters in the culture war. They're a really great organization ran by Charlie Kirk, who is also from Chicago, like me. We were born in the same hospital in Arlington Heights. Wow. And so I got a lot of love for Charlie Kirk and everything that they do. And then we're just out there. So we've done we've booked collaborations for our brands with influencers from Joe Rogan, Kim Kardashian. We work with Roger Stone, who's an awesome guy. We're working with a lot of people from all sides of the world, but I work with the leftist liberal actors all the way to the most like stringent right-wing people like Tucker Carlson and these guys. And the one thing they all have in common is that they all have audience and they're all trying to monetize that audience, right? And I know that these hard left people, I know that they would come over to our side if we could just get the right brands to invest in them. 100%.
Wow, that's you mentioned some really big names there. And I mean, that's just mind blowing. So, I mean, they come to you, right? And like, what is just a problem that they have, right? Like maybe you do like a case study or like success story.
That's a great question. So I'll give an example, a hypothetical example of two very famous guys that might be in Romanian prison right now, right? That they basically...
What are their names? Can you say it? No.
You can if you want. There's articles out there about stuff that I've helped people. I don't know.
Actually, a lot of it's I think I just saw an article that you were part of. Right, the Tates.
So I think they're awesome guys. I can't say if I was involved or not. You can Google my name with the article. You can read it about it yourself. But I'll pull an OJ here, like what if I did it, right? So you've got two guys that are very wealthy, that are they've made a lot of money doing different internet projects and stuff like that. They're trying to break through because they understand that if people recognize them, that's a whole nother level of wealth. So you've got your financial wealth, but then you also need your social currency too, right? Being famous is important. So they, tried a bunch of stuff to break through, but they did a big mistake, and this is something we even talked about a little bit in the car ride over here. Yes. This is the first piece of advice whenever a creator says, what should I do if I want to make it big on social media? I say the first thing you should do is find out where the audience is and where there's a gap for you to fill a need for that audience. The biggest mistake I see creators make is they do what they think is cool. And the problem with that is that just because you think it's cool or it comes off cool doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to resonate with the audience. So there's no way to guarantee your success in that. If you take a more mathematical approach to it and you look at it and you say, okay, this audience needs this information, or they're already paying for this kind of information and I can give it to them in a more entertaining or a more educational way, then that audience is already there for you to market to. Then it's just up to you to create the financial offer, see what they're already buying, right? You can even track their buying habits now. And you can say, okay, well, this is how I'm going to make money from them. You already know what stories they buy, so you can say, okay, I just need to adjust my story to fit that, make it authentic to myself while also appealing to them. And then basically you just start telling your story. That audience is going to find you. They're going to connect with you, right? So that's actually kind of what we did, what we do for a lot of people. Even like my ex-wife, she really blew up. They call her the female Andrew Tate, right? Because she just did the opposite of them. They came out and said a bunch of negative things about women because they knew it was going to rally the base, right? And nothing spreads faster online than negative news. So they knew how to go out, say controversial stuff, basically go viral, and then they knew that women were never going to buy from them anyway. So that's part of what we teach our clients to do is just piss off the side that's never going to buy from you. They're going to drive the virality of it. Yeah. And then what it's going to do is create a deeper bond with the people who are going to buy from you. So I always use the example like cats and dogs. Like a cat person is never going to buy dog food. So if you come out and you just say how great dogs are, people are always going to agree with you. But if you come out and you piss off all the cat people and then they are the ones driving your engagement up on social media and in the media. And then in the meantime, dog people who are going to buy from you, you're even more bonded to them because they're like, this guy's saying stuff about cats that I think about that I think as a dog person. So, this is my voice. So then they're going to connect with you. They're going to buy from you. They're going to basically engage with you, right? So we basically, it's funny because like with the Tates, it was like, say stuff that's going to upset women to enhance your relationship with the men that are going to buy your products. With my ex-wife, it was say negative stuff about men to deepen your relationship with women, and then that's all she does, right? She just like makes these videos, they go viral about hating on men, and then all the women come and rally and they buy her programs and they monetize that way. So it's exactly what I was saying about like what we need to do for right-wing creators or conservative creators. Just come out, understand the audience, create a story for them, create a way to go viral for yourself, and then basically connect the dots, and you'll bringing people over to our side.
Absolutely.
So there's a little masterclass in newsjacking.
Wow, absolutely. And you got, people like to say, oh, no news is good news, but I disagree with that, right? Because especially in this day and age, right? You have to have a brand. You have to put yourself out there. You have to be known, right? And leading into the controversy, right? And some people are like, oh, I don't want to touch that, but right, what you laid out is leaning into the controversy. That's going to drive engagement, right? And get a following for you, and obviously that's been effective. Talk about working with politicians, right? And obviously you work with people in Hollywood. What's the contrast there?
I would say the only difference between Hollywood and Washington is that the interns are hotter in Hollywood. It's the same place. I mean, they're all actors. Yeah. They all just want their lines fed to them. They're all doing it for money for the most part. And I think originally in my past life, I thought I was actually like on a direction to go to DC, and I was going to be just out there doing politics and stuff. But I just fell in love with the politics of Hollywood, and I felt like I had a voice there. It's a powerful place. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for the right person to come in. I told Charlie Kirk at Turning Point, I said, the biggest mistake you guys are making is the content. I said, you guys got the audience. You guys have awesome content. Good job. Keep it going. But now to retain people, you need to entertain them.
Yes.
It's all education with them and no entertainment. And they don't have to make documentaries like What is a Woman. What I told them, I said, we need to just remake John Wayne movies.
Yeah.
Just remake John Wayne movies, and at the end, all you have to do is show the man and the woman lived happily ever after. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be so dramatic, right? Because that's how you're going to get, if you just make good entertainment that has, hey, a man and a woman got married and that was okay. If you just have some of this stuff embedded into the film and into the content, that's how you fight the culture war. The culture war is a long-term fight.
Yes.
And they've been eroding American values and culture for basically since the beginning of media, right? That's always been there's always been somebody who knew how it would work. Like people used to say Elvis was eroding the morals of America, right?
I'm a huge Elvis fan.
I love Elvis too. Yeah, Elvis is awesome. So, there's always going to be people complaining, and there's always going to be a culture. There's always going to be a shift. But yeah, honestly, man, the number one thing that we could do as conservatives right now is just create entertaining content that just has conservative values lightly embedded into the content, into the storyline, and that's enough to win people over.
100%, right? And it's the subtlety, right, that you mentioned that, the extreme left has done with the movies and pushing their agenda, and now it's just getting pushed down our throat. Whereas, you look back in the 60s and 70s, or Frank Capra movies, It's a Wonderful Life, right? Family values, right? Judeo-Christian ethic. And, little side story, right? What happened with America is after World War II, you had some of these social scientists, Antonio Gramsci, right, Theodore Adorno, Andrew Breitbart talks about this, right, and they came over and, at the time, communism was on the rise, right, Soviet Union, right, the oppressed versus the oppressor, and they come to America, specifically Santa Monica, and everything is just beautiful, right? People are happy, capitalism is thriving, and they're like, okay, Marxism in its traditional senses are going to work here, right? Because capitalism has won in America. So what we're going to do is cultural Marxism, right? And so then they break it down of like, hey, we're going to, take these economic concepts and put them into culture, right? And that's where you've seen, like the race wars, the division, all that. And it's like you've said, it's been this generational thing that's just continued to manifest, continue to manifest.
Yeah, and it's all by design. Everything is by design. Some of the people are very smart, man. There's some really smart people with a lot of money. And here's the thing about ideas: is ideas are only as good as the budget and the people willing to put the work in behind them. There's a lot of people, a lot of great ideas, but there's not enough budget for all those ideas. So people saw, if we erode America, we can get more power. We can control more people. We can control more resources, and they're just doing that.
Yes.
And we just have to create a financial incentive for them not to do that, right? And that's I'm not smart enough to think about what that is, but whoever's listening to this, if you're smart, I'm happy to help you amplify it.
And you're a smart guy, man.
I appreciate
you're sitting today. You'll get there without being smart.
Yep.
Talking about theories, right? You presented a very interesting theory about homelessness, right? We're sitting here in San Diego, California, right? You're from Los Angeles, and we've seen on the news, right? Skid Row, right? The amplified homelessness, and we're just driving through San Diego City, getting here. You're like, wow, I've seen more homeless people here than I've seen in West Hollywood, where you're from, in the past 6 months, right? Talk about that theory. I thought that was fascinating, of homelessness.
Yeah, I think it's more than a theory at this point, because I've actually been able to kind of track it a little bit. But what I realize is specifically the homeless are being weaponized in Southern California. And I do think that the political powers are behind the weaponization of the homeless. What they are specifically doing, and I've witnessed it myself in several large developments in Hollywood and West Hollywood, is they put the homeless where they want to depreciate the private party values. So if they want to steal a hotel from an owner, if they want to buy a big plot of a block of land off of Sunset, they're just going to fill it with homeless people till the private owners get so annoyed that they're fire sailing their properties. Then a big developer comes in, probably a donor to these political parties, right? And they build their development, and within a few weeks of the development being done, there is not a homeless person in sight. And then they move the homeless person to the next site that they want to tear down. I've seen it specifically happen over by Tao, off of Hollywood and Cahuenga. There was homeless tents. I mean, you couldn't move over there. And you're like, why don't they enforce this? Like, nobody's enforcing it. The thing is, they enforce it when they want to. And they only want to when there's a financial incentive. Follow the money. That's the plot of this, right? Is follow the money. Like, whenever you're like, this doesn't make any sense, just follow the money.
Follow the money.
It don't make sense. And I follow the money on it, and I'm looking, and on Sunset, over there off of La Brea and between La Brea and Fairfax, there was tent towns on both sides of the road. This is the most beautiful street in America. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why are they allowing this? This doesn't make sense. But then I'm looking, the hotels over there, they're going out of business. The businesses are going out of business. Who's buying these failed businesses? So what happens is when these big buildings go out of business, what a lot of people don't understand is that if the people default on the building, typically the city will put it in what's called receivership. So that basically means the city takes over the management. They're responsible for kind of like the upkeep and whatever. So they crash it. They basically control that property. Then a big developer comes in, pays off the right people, and gets that property at a huge discount. And basically, once they build it, then they're like, okay, hey, political buddies, get your cops over here and clean this mess up so we can make our money back. And I've seen it site after site, and they just keep moving the homeless people around. Even downtown LA is getting cleaned up. I went 6 blocks from the train station, didn't see one single homeless person. West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, more beautiful than it's ever been, except where there's some building that they want to take over and devalue. And now, what are we seeing? We're seeing the homeless taking over Brentwood. We're seeing the homeless completely taking over Santa Monica. And we're seeing them coming down to San Diego, and they're going all over major cities. I was in Seattle. This isn't a California-only issue. I was in Seattle a couple weeks ago. The most beautiful parts of Seattle downtown covered in homeless people, except for where Amazon is. Those 4 blocks completely enforced. So how can how can the police enforce it there, but why aren't they enforcing it anywhere else? Well, probably my guess would be Amazon or whoever they're working with or some big developer is saying, we got to crash these prices. We're going to put really annoying people here to crash these values. So all the normal people leave. And then once all the values are crashed, then we will buy them. We will kick the homeless people out. We'll rebuild it how we want to rebuild it, and we'll be the only owners, and we'll make all the money.
Wow.
So what's more logical to you? That they're weaponizing homeless people so they can steal properties at a discount, or that they just don't know how to control the homeless problem, and that's just something they don't know how to do? But then it magically cleans itself up every 6 months when a new development is done. Like there's no, which one sounds, one sounds like the people call me a conspiracy theory for us, but which one actually sounds logical, right?
Yeah, it checks out to me. Mm-hmm. Checks out to me, right? And here in San Diego, I'm starting to see more homeless people in La Jolla. Mm-hmm. La Jolla, right?
Right.
I'm walking in La Jolla, right? Walking all the nice restaurants and shops, and I'm seeing homeless people on the street, and it's just continued to increase. And I'm like, okay, there used to be like a dividing line, right, between Bird Rock, right? I live in PB, right, mm-hmm. close to the beach, and Bird Rock, where the homeless people are in PB. I'm seeing less homeless people in PB now, and then more homeless people in La Jolla. That's interesting.
Yeah. You think that they just migrated on their own?
Yeah.
It's an attack on the private homeowner. 8% interest rates are just there to keep people from owning because they want to be the only ones that own. The elites, right? Yeah. The elites don't want you owning. They want you renting. That actually brings us back to a PR thing that I want to talk about. It's called FUD. FUD news, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Every time BlackRock wants to come out or Vanguard comes out and wants to do a big buy a bunch of property, they actually invest in the media and put out a bunch of articles about how hard it is to be a homeowner. Why renting is actually a better financial investment for you. They're just fudding you. Fear, uncertainty, doubt. That's what they do with the news all day long, and that's why I say follow the money. Who benefits by you reading an article about home ownership being bad for you? Who benefits from that?
Exactly.
The people who want to buy the houses, right, instead of you.
100%.
So,
Larry Fink, right, BlackRock, a few months ago, came out with these huge headlines, right? We're going to be investing in Ukraine to build up the country post-war, and they want people to be, oh, how nice of them, how charitable, right? But as I'm an econ major, right? I studied economics, right? And a depressed country, right, or an economically mm-hmm. developing country grows, right, at an exponential rate, right? America grows at 2 to 3 to 4% a year. They're going to grow at 6 to 7% a year because they're building back up, right? That's the same with these South American countries and for China for the longest time, right? Yep. So BlackRock is like, here's a viable economic opportunity, and Ukraine, right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Ukraine, man.
Ukraine, man, it's the biggest money grab ever.
Yes,
it's 100%. So crazy.
Yeah. Our uniparty in Washington, mm-hmm. Republicans and Democrats, and I know these people, right? Yeah. They unfortunately, they vote the way they do, but that's the biggest thing, mm-hmm. right? Of sending our money abroad to Ukraine. The craziest thing, man, is like I see people flying the Ukraine flags, mm-hmm. right? Whatever. But then they're flying Ukraine flags and not American flags, and that just gets me, man. You're living in America. Well, you're living in America, regardless of whether you support Ukraine. You're first flying a Ukraine flag.
These people don't even know why they're supporting Ukraine. They couldn't tell you a single thing about the war or what's happening over there, or the money that's being funneled into the pockets of people there. The funniest thing is, again, I say, I work in media. How are they? Zelensky is buying Vogue covers with our tax dollars.
He was an actor.
He was a trans actor. He was a cross-dressing actor. Yeah. Perfect actor. The guy's a straight-up actor. You got Hollywood celebrities going there. Listen, guys, follow the money. Whenever you see too much just stuff that's just so illogical and so overdone, just question why it's being done, right? Like, these are influencer marketing campaigns that are just being done to basically just shake us down. Every time a bill goes through to send another $100 billion to Ukraine, all those guys are getting commission on it.
Yeah.
They're all getting paid. It all goes to all kinds of projects that they're invested in and working on, and they're all in on it, and we're not.
Military-industrial complex.
Yep.
You know, the thing about Zelensky that gets me, right, is he always shows up in a T-shirt, and at the very beginning, you know, you just saw the most outrageous propaganda coming from the war, right? And it's a tragedy on both sides, right? Lives being lost is terrible, right? And I feel for the Ukrainians and the Russians, right, on both sides. It's a terrible war.
They're
War's
just
a terrible
pawns.
thing.
They're just pawns, those soldiers. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, women and children are getting killed.
Yep.
You know, young men are getting killed. But, you know, Zelensky, right, they presented this thing like he was on the front lines. You know, he continues to go to Congress and the get-up he is. You know, when Churchill, right, when London was getting bombed by the Nazis, he still had the time to put on a suit every day.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
You know?
But it's all character. They researched. They do market research, and they said what's going to appeal to, you know, the average person watching this. What's going to pull on their heartstrings? You know what I mean? And they've just figured it out. They've got everything is down to a science because of the amount of data that, you know, we're able to get from social media and from internet metrics and stuff now. Netflix reverse engineers all their content based on user data.
Yeah.
So
That's why they started doing content themselves.
Yeah, well, they do. So remember that show with Kevin Spacey? Was it called House of Cards?
Yeah.
House of Cards was a completely data-driven production. So they had like 10 years of data, and they were like, okay, well, what should we invest our money in producing? And this is what I tell creators to do too, right? Look at the data, create for your audience. They said, well, our audience likes political drama, so we're going to do a political drama. Our audience primarily likes Kevin Spacey, so we're going to make Kevin Spacey the star of it. Our audience likes these things, and they just developed a whole show just based on what their audience likes to watch, and it was one of the biggest shows in history. So if you think Netflix is doing that, if we know that Netflix is doing that, then what else are they doing? What else are other people with even more data doing to convince us and to affect us? And that's why it's truly a culture war. We don't fight wars with bombs and tanks anymore. Basically, our wars now are China fills our phone with TikTok, and 10 years from now it says, we got all your boys to cut their dicks off.
Yeah.
You know, that's how we won. You know, nobody's cutting their dicks off in China.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They might steal an organ or two out there, but they're not cutting their dicks off.
100%, 100%.
Yeah. Crazy
So,
times.
Yeah. Let's talk about Israel and Palestine and man, like what's going on in college campuses. What's your
College
perspective on
campuses.
that?
Well, the colleges have become the liberal indoctrination centers of America, right?
Yeah.
We already know that. I would tell any person who's going to send their kid to school, buy your kid 4 Bitcoin before you send them 4 years of university, right? That's not financial advice. It's just cynicism.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing with Israel and Palestine. I can't believe I'm experiencing a time in America where America isn't all in on supporting Israel.
Yes.
One of my favorite memes, it's not favorite because I love it, but it's just a great meme. It shows missiles shooting from Israel to Palestine. It says my tax dollars at work. And then it shows the missiles shooting from Palestine back to Israel. And it says somehow also my tax dollars at work. Right.
Yeah.
That's just the world we live in. It's crazy, right? Like they just kill people for profit on both sides, and it's an elite uniparty doing it. I do have one thing to say to the college kids, to the blue-haired girls on college campuses about their support of
boys.
Or the blue-haired boys, or them, they, thems, whatever you want to call them. I told this. I am friends with this popular adult actress, and she just read some propaganda, and now she is all in against Israel and all for Palestine, all right? And I told her, I said, listen, I don't really have a side in any war because I think all war is bad. All war should be ended, and they're all for profit. But I said, here's the difference in the two cultures. There is a culture war too, right? I said, here's the difference in the culture. You're a blue-haired girl who walks around with half a shirt on all day. I said, you could go to Israel, leave your hotel, and walk down the street for the rest of your life, probably have a pretty good life. You go to Palestine, dress how you dress, and that same thing. You walk out the house once, it's almost guaranteed you won't make it to the end of the street wearing that.
Yes.
I said, that's the fundamental difference between the two cultures. Now, I'm not saying one culture should be exterminated or the other or whatever. All I'm saying is that is the line in the sand that no pun intended. That is the line in the sand that basically is the difference between the Western influence in Israel and the traditional Middle Eastern influence out there. And I think that there's room for both in the world, right? Like, I'm not a person who's like, oh, I got to push all my beliefs on everybody. I'm all about, like, hey, if you want to be gay, hang out in Boys Town, right? If you want to be, rich and on your own, like, move to Brentwood, right? Like, I'm all about there being little pockets of whatever you want for everybody, as long as it's not hurting anybody, right?
Yep.
But for Israel and Palestine, it's just going to be one of those things that it's just so easy to create a conflict over there that the people who profit from conflict are just going to keep it going forever.
Yeah. And I've been to Israel, right? I had the opportunity to visit Israel and go to Jerusalem, walk the old city, and then also look in and see the Palestinian encampments. But in Israel, right, I think people have this misconception is that it's ultra-Orthodox Judaism, religious, right? Which there's certainly many facets of, right? It's the Holy Land.
Right.
But there's Christians, Jews, Muslims, right? That can coexist, right? And something that always sticks with me, and I repost this sometimes, like every year or so, is, when I was in the Bedouin community, right, I saw Arab children and Jewish children playing in the street, playing soccer, right? Just like we see it in America. So there, it's it's unfortunate, right, that we see the conflict, but like you said, in Palestine, you would not be able to walk down the street, being an LGBTQ person with you're still having your life.
Well, and here's the thing about the college campuses specifically. I guarantee you, if we ran some facial recognition technology on these college campuses, the same people that are protesting from Palestine today were the BLM supporters, were the Ukrainian protesters before that. These are all like paid actors. These are all Change.org, Soros funded, $10 an hour, $15 an hour protesters. People with normal lives are not going to protest, bro.
Yeah.
I've seen these people. They look like carnival people. Most of them probably, well, the thing is they pay actors to get it rolling, and then it sucks the college kids in. And let me tell you where this starts. It's they have a lack of purpose. Because when you eliminate the family, when you eliminate career, when you eliminate church and God from your life, and you're just out there as a 20-year-old kid, and you want to just be part of something.
You're lost.
You're lost, and
no
you're like,
direction. Yeah.
I just want to be connected to something, right? So you see a group of people, and you're like, I'm going to connect with these people, and you don't even know what the cause that you're promoting is or protesting for is, but there's so much information out there. You can like sell yourself on either side of the deal, right? But the bottom line is it's a lot of all these college kids are being stripped of their purpose, and they're being weaponized, just like the homeless people, to just be annoying, And in that process of being annoying, they water down hardworking people a little bit more every generation. And the end game is complete control of resources and complete elimination of the individual and the complete empowerment of government. And it's all Marxism at the end of the day.
100%. 100%. And what the elites have perpetrated is this, this race war, right? This cultural clash, when really what it is, it actually is more of a class warfare of, the middle class versus the elites, right? And so the elites, right, they're trying to just squeeze out the middle class to be lower middle class, and then they try to say, black versus white, right? Religion, Christian versus Jews, Christian versus Muslims, right? Or right, and really what it is like, Steve Bannon says this a lot, which I resonate with, is the investment banker working in Wall Street resonates more with the investment banker working in London than they do the farmer in Iowa.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's more of a class warfare, but the elites are trying to make it into this, and again, the uniparty, right?
Right.
We're both conservatives. That's the way we lean. But, the way that I get there is I'm a Christian, right? First and foremost, that's what guides my belief. Then I'm a patriot. I love my country. I've served my country, put on a uniform. Then I'm a conservative. And then, I'm a Republican, right? In that order.
Yeah.
But, the uniparty tries to make it like, hey, sitting in a restaurant, someone that votes differently than I do, they're my mortal enemy.
Right.
They're not my mortal enemy. Maybe, I make a little bit more than them, right? They're a teacher and they have some liberal viewpoints, right? I disagree with them, but they are not my mortal enemy. But the news tries to make it like that.
Yeah, of course, because there's profit and separation. In fact, the only reason I think Trump will win this election, because he'll only win if they let him. And the only reason I think they will let him win this election is because Democrat donors have been, I didn't know this, but I recently found this out through data that Turning Point provided, was that liberals donate 3-1 than conservatives.
Yes.
And their donations have been going down because they've had Biden in office. And if they don't get, if they get Trump in there, they will be able to rally the base, so their liberal base, so hard that they'll make record donations because they've got Trump derangement syndrome so embedded in their voting base that they're going to be like, guys, you failed because you didn't donate enough. And they're just going to have 4 record years of donations for the liberal movement. And I think that the only reason they'll let Trump win is because they've created so much chaos this past 3.5 years that they are going to pin it all on Trump and then use that as a way to they'll be like, look, there's going to be 3 world wars. That, there's no logic. If liberals didn't have double standards, they would have no standards at all, right? So there's no logic to them. Like, Trump gets elected first day, they're going to say, see, it is World War III that Trump started, right? It's going to go from, Israel and Palestine has been happening for a year, or Ukraine and Russia, all happened under Biden, right? Trump's the only president that didn't start any new wars under him, right? Ever, pretty much, in our lifetimes. It doesn't matter if he's one day in office. That media is gonna flip the narrative so hard that it's Trump's World War III, it's nuclear disaster, it's everything, right? And that I see as a gigantic profit center for them. And you know me, I always follow the money. And I'm saying, all right, who's got the most to gain here? And financially, I think the elites and the media have the most to gain by letting Trump win for 4 years.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, once Trump took office, you saw the donations to the left-wing causes, Democratic Party just shoot up, right? I mean, he was very good for their cause, right? It was like
and just like when Obama won, gun sales went through the roof, right? They said Obama was the #1 gun salesman on earth. Yes. So, again, that's where the uniparty comes in. All of it's controlled, right? So that's just something that people need to wake up to see. And how do we change that? I always tell people, change it at the local level. You might not be able to change the world, probably can't change the country. Mother Teresa said, if you want to change the world, love your family. Start with your family, go to your community. That's why people are like, people in Illinois, these people are like getting taxed to death, minus 20-degree weather, and they're like, I can't believe you live in California. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, I get up every day and I chill in the sunshine. I haven't seen a homeless person in 6 months. I'm living the dream, dude, And you're watching so much Fox News that you don't know what is going on. And why am I happy? Because I'm focused in my home. My home is good. Yes. My community is nice. And the state doesn't really affect me that much, right? Like, even outside of your community, like maybe the state at a certain level to do business in, stuff like that is when it starts to affect you. But for the most part, your home, your neighborhood, your community, your county is about as far reach as you really need to worry about. I lived in Orange County for 5 years. It was like living in heaven. I love Orange County. I don't care what was going on in San Francisco. None of that affected me. And that's just something, people need to realize is you can have a great life. You can have a lot of impact at the local level.
100%, right? Tip O'Neill said all politics is local. And we definitely saw it during COVID, right? With the lockdown procedures. It really came down to the Board of Supervisors, city councils that were mandating these policies, right? And that's something that Soros did, right, with the AGs. Your guy, George Gascon, what a peach, right? Chesa Boudin up in San Francisco. I think he's out now. But, you saw these just rogue AGs that were, literally like letting people off for murder, right? And it's like gotten down to the lowest level. I want to pivot really quick kind of back to Hollywood, right? And, we talked about lack of direction and purpose, and just would love for you to get like a little bit more in depth into like Hollywood culture of, what that's like, people going out there trying to make it, some of the degenerate aspects of it, the excess and abundance. I'd love for you to just kind of open up like that, like your perspective of what Hollywood really is.
I will tell you that traditional Hollywood is done. Yeah. There's no Like big studios have lost all their power. That's why they took what in locally amongst conservatives in Hollywood we call it the China bag, where basically studios, media outlets, they've been hurting for years, and China came in and just offered them a bunch of money to control the narrative, and they had no choice but to take it to maintain themselves, right? So that's where a lot of the foreign influence got involved in Hollywood and in media. You know, Forbes is owned by the Chinese government. A lot of people don't know that. If you Google it, you can Google Forbes magazine. Stephen Forbes sold it to a Hong Kong shell company. And if you follow the money on that one, you'll trace it all the way back to the CCP. And so the CCP controls Forbes. They control all the major movie studios in America. They control TikTok now, the biggest, second biggest media platform, social media platform. And they just basically, they came in, they changed everything. So, but I don't like actors don't have like the power that they used to have. Like I'm a huge like Spider-Man fan growing up. I don't know who like the last 3 actors that played Spider-Man are.
Yeah, it's like a revolving door.
It's a revolving door. It used to be like the biggest thing, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
If you were Spider-Man, you'd be like famous, right? And now I'm in Hollywood. I'm in that business. I'm a fan of it, and I don't even care.
Yeah, it's like the James Bond, right? Like this is the new James Bond. I'm a James Bond fan.
Yeah,
it's
I love James Bond.
Yeah.
Yep. And now, well, the next James Bond will probably be blue-haired and trans and pink-striped and
they're like,
whatever.
James Bond's gonna be a woman.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
Janet Bond, but whatever, man. So that's where I see Hollywood. I mean, that's why I think they're like. So I think China invested, or just maybe not. I use China as like kind of like the boogeyman, right? But like the foreign powers that invested in the annihilation of American culture. They just invested, and they're just like, yeah, we need a female Ghostbusters, guys. That's why these studios don't care. They know these movies are going to lose. Yeah. They keep producing them because they're getting the top people making the decision are taking bribes on the side, and they're putting out stuff because they are just getting paid to do it. You know, they're not incentivized. They used to be incentivized to make a movie people want to care about, so people would go watch it, and it would be a hit. Now they're like, we just got to ruin people. So we're getting paid, and we don't care if the thing succeeds or not. We're getting paid on the back end anyway. So that's the preliminary to what I'm going to talk about in Hollywood. This is why I love Los Angeles, okay? Why I love LA is because no matter what you're looking for, you're going to find it. You want to be the biggest Christian on earth and have the biggest impact and the most reach, you can do it from LA. But if you want to be the biggest drug addict in the world and do the best drugs in the world and get the highest you can possibly get, you can do that in LA. It's whatever you look for, you will find it in LA. And that's what I think is cool now about the content creator world out there in LA is that it's actually really peer-to-peer now. OnlyFans has gotten really big. It's really torn up the adult industry. And that's just kind of a barometer, right? Because here's the thing, whether you're conservative or not, the adult industry is like the core of the entertainment business, right? Like 97% of households access adult websites, like at some point in the year, month, I don't know the exact stats, but a lot like Comcast, there's like all these businesses that couldn't exist without the adult industry, like Comcast, GE, all of them have their hooks in the adult industry, right? So when you've got a peer-to-peer platform that's basically pulling all those profits out and giving it directly to creators, they're feeling a big hit. So they've got to keep reinventing themselves and reinvesting things in different ways and stuff like that. And here's the thing I'll tell you is that just like I said, no matter what you look for, you can find it. You want to be the biggest adult star in the world, now's the time to do it. You want to be the biggest conservative influence in the world, now is the best and easiest time to do it too. The audiences are there, the data is there, everything is there for you to do it. You got a platform, you do a podcast, you get the right people on there, you position yourself right, you can be anything you want to be. The biggest opportunity in Hollywood right now is that there is basically 98% of the content is being produced for less than 40% of the viewers. Because 40% of viewers are actually like liberal, like as liberal as the content is being produced. Less than 1% of the content is being produced for the other 60% of people. They just want to watch normal stuff on TV, man. They want to watch Family Guy. They want to watch like The Man Show, Rogan. They want to see The Sopranos. You know what I mean? Like that's a politically unbiased show, right? They just want to see great TV, great entertainment. Now everything has to have a political message. And like I said, 98% of the stuff is being made for basically 1/3 to less than half of the country, and 1% of it is being made for the other 60%. And there's the biggest opportunity in the world of content right now is for the right person with the right money to come in and swing that pendulum back and just make great content for the conservatives and the people that don't care. And those are the people that they're tired of getting hit over the head with left-wing messaging, and they just want to watch some normal stuff, and there's a big opportunity there that's definitely being left on the table.
Wow. You think of Hollywood as just being so monolithically to the left, which it is, right, in many facets.
Only because it's profitable.
Yes.
It's not. Hollywood is monolithically to the bank.
Yes.
Their job is to make money, put on a show, get paid. That's it. And the Republicans or the conservatives just haven't the people, the audiences haven't showed up with the checkbooks in order to swing it right. Hollywood's for sale, man. It always has been. It's never been a religious institution. Hollywood is it's just a place where people go to get paid. That's it. Yeah. And if the liberals are paying, then they're liberal. If the conservatives are paying, like Reagan, people forget, Ronald Reagan, actor, how did he become president? He was the president of the Screen Actors Guild. He was the president of the Actors Union. Then he became governor of California.
Yes.
All right. He became a red governor of a blue state. Schwarzenegger was governor too. He ran as a Republican. Reagan became governor of California. Then he became president of the United States. Hollywood is whoever's putting the money into it is what they're doing. So, I think there's a big misconception about California being blue. I would say it's blue in the major cities.
Well, here's a stat for you, right? The state that cast the most votes for Donald Trump was California. Yep. Just by sheer size.
Sheer size. It's California is all my crazy friends who watch too much Tucker and moved to Florida. I'm telling, and they're like, "There's liberals and trannies here too." I'm like, "Yeah, no, obviously, man." Like Miami, like South, like you go to like Central Florida, Gator Country, you'll find a lot of red voters, right? But I'm like, big cities are always gonna be blue. It's just how the game goes. And California, I don't know if these stats are perfect, but basically, California is about 45% red, 55% blue, and that blue is all mostly in the major cities. Florida is 55% red, 45% blue. So we're talking it's a 5% swing in both states. Texas is even the same thing. Now, obviously, they're dumping the illegals in because they're trying to close that gap and stuff. But there's only basically 1 in 10 more liberals than there are conservatives in California, because almost all of California is red. But when people leave because they're buying the FUD, then the conservatives are leaving. They're just watering down the best state in the country, in my opinion, that has the potential to be the best state, and most beautiful state for sure. Here's the thing: is Chicago was blue, and I said Chicago's not worth fighting for. It's got the worst weather. It's got the most murders. It's just got everything sucks about it, right? Seasons, right? Who cares? So I'm like, I'm not fighting for this, but I've been to Laguna Beach, and if I'm gonna fight for anything, I'm gonna stand up for the ocean. All right, you can have inland California, but I'm standing up for the ocean.
2 seconds. Dude, the camera shut off again.
Yeah, that's
Damn, dude. It shut off for the last 2 minutes. I know. Damn, dude.
That's all good.
We'll edit this out.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Do you want to go straight cam?
No, this will work.
Yeah.
We ran into this problem last time.
Sorry about that, man.
No worries, dude. I don't care.
Why does it keep doing that?
Probably so we have 2 different ways to power the camera.
Is it warm? Is it because I remember it was overheating last time?
Yeah, I think it's this cable going through with.
Okay.
What do you think? Someone tell me about it. We're so good. All right, ready. 3, 2, 1.
Now that breaks it down. Yeah, there's definitely opportunities in these blue states, right? And again, just by sheer size, California being so big as it is, and that's just the way it's always been, right? Urban centers have always been more left, and rural, right? You see the maps, right, of territory, right, in America. You just see red and then just some blue. And,
Yep.
you know, there's this big push, popular vote, popular vote. Well, the founding fathers didn't want a pure popular vote, right? Because then, you know, a politician would just go to L.A.,
Right.
New York City,
Right.
right? All these major cities and just campaign there. And that's why we have the Electoral College.
Yep.
The Electoral College is there for a purpose. It should be enshrined. We should not abolish the Electoral College for that reason. So I know we're almost at time, Vito, but I want to ask you, you know, as someone who's successful, outspoken, bold, confident, what inspires you every day to get up and do what you do?
I am in a personal relationship with a higher power that is bigger than me, that is using me. I pray every day, God, use my hands to do your work, use my mouth to speak your words, and just help me be grateful for everything. And I'm inspired just by being grateful that I'm part of something bigger, and I just try to have purpose. I try to provide for the people that are important to me, and I just love having a great life. You know, I love to have a cigar, drink, meeting out all the time. I love to have fun. I love to laugh and make people laugh and help people achieve their dreams. So as long as I've got the energy, that's all the inspiration I need is to serve God.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Amen.
God is great.
God is great, yes. And I'm grateful for God to bringing us together and helping us put this message out there. I hope it resonates with somebody out there.
Absolutely, it will. I have no doubt that it will.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, Vito, where can people find you? They want to, you know, use you or follow you on social media?
Yes, you can connect with me on all social media at Vito Glazers. If you'd love to work with us and get a free proposal, go to glazersmedia.com.
Thank you, Vito.
Thank you.